Beautiful people of the internet and some of the terrible ones as well. I hope you are well. Welcome back to another episode of the Lifestyle Lab and another venue change. I am at my mum and dad's this week because they are away on holiday, and basically I'm here because I'm looking after the dog, Pepper. I don't know if you'll see him because from what I can see on the laptop, he's cut off. You might see him. Who knows? But he's a very cuddly boy. Some might even say needy. So he's kind of always glued to your side, which I am not used to. Being at home, having a cat, having my son Raymond, who for anyone who owns a cat will know they just they just please themselves, don't they? They're just incredibly independent. So to be here with Pepper, who's a little bit needier, likes being glued at your side, this is not something I'm used to. Even though before I met Kim and me have been together for 3.5 years now, be 4 years this year. Before I met Kim, I was very much a dog man. I have two tattoos of dogs on my body, in Vince and Harry. But I am so a cat man now. I I love my son, and that's what I call him. He is my son, Raymond. He's just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, being back home, being back home with mum and dad's, being around a dog again, being around Pepper. Yeah, I'm not used to this anymore. And I shared this on Instagram. Being back at my mum and dad's house is just a pure nostalgia fest. Like my mum and dad live in a cul-de-sac, and I look out the window now, and I see like all of the things that we did in that cul-de-sac. Like there was one year where one summer we were just really into roller hockey. And we were all out there with our roller blades and our makeshift bloody ice hockey sticks. And there was one year where my mum and dad got a new shed, and so they were dismantling the old shed, and we'd made a goal out of it, and we would spend hours, like well into the night as well, out in that cul-de-sac trying to hit the crossbar of this makeshift goal we'd made out of a broken down shed. Just yeah, literally just for hours. And then yesterday on Instagram, I was talking about a goal that we used to play just at the back of my mum and dad's house. There's a field, but as you're heading up to that field, there's a pathway obviously leading up to that area, and there's a lamppost there as well. And essentially, in the middle of these paths, there's like a triangle of grass, and we used to play a game called Lampy, which was just where you would try to kick a football at a lamppost, and then wherever it landed off the back of your shot, the next person would then try and take a shot from there to try and hit the lamppost. And we just, honestly, it was just stupid, mindless, but for kids, creative fun. And that's literally that's what being back at my mum and dad's is like. It's just a total nostalgia fest, and it's been amazing. It is. It's been really, really good. So I digress. If you can also see if you're watching this on video, if you're watching this on MP4, you'll see that I have a mug with Thomas on there, which is another one of my mum and dad's dogs, and Nero is also on there as well. Very cute, very sweet. This was my mug back when I lived with my mum and dad. Kim actually got me this mug, which I'd forgot about. Sorry, Kim. But she quickly let me know. It's a great mug. It's phenomenal. So yes, I digress. Going down memory lane there. This episode of the podcast is going to be for the people who feel like they don't have time to exercise, specifically. But for those people who feel like they don't have the time to exercise, diet, achieve the health and fitness result that they want to achieve, dedicate that time to themselves, to becoming a more happier, productive, energetic version of themselves, which sounds kind of almost like you're maybe sitting there thinking to yourself, how do people not have the time to want to do these things? And I suppose when you put it like that, it's true, but I think there's going to be a couple of reasons as to why I think people don't have the time that they think they need to get that result that they want, whatever it is, whether it's fat loss, weight loss, just to feel a little bit more energetic, just to feel a little bit more productive, motivated, or whatever the goal is that involves you having to eat a little bit better, exercise a little bit more, etc., etc. We're gonna, like I said, I'm going to delve into a couple of reasons why I think people don't feel like they have the time to be able to do these things, because I think it would be fairly unanimous that if we were to ask the population, should you be exercising, should you be eating nutritionally dense foods, everyone would say yeah, but obviously not everyone does. So, and not everyone does because of these specific reasons that we're about to go into. Okay, so the the excuse, some people could call it that, the reason I don't have time, or I don't have time to exercise specifically, is probably one of the most commonly used reasons I hear when it comes to exercise, nutrition. Hands down. I'm sitting here brainstorming about other potential reasons that people use, and there are other reasons, but I'm thinking about probably the main reason people don't get going with their fitness, or their health, or their exercise, or their nutrition, or whatever it may be, is it comes down to time specifically. Okay. And I'm gonna throw this out here right now. You do have time. Everyone has time. And if you are someone who genuinely, off the back of listening to this podcast, right, who feels like they genuinely don't have time, then what it probably is it's probably a boundary issue and your lack of ability to set them. That's 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 more your issue, or more your problem, which is an entirely different story for an entirely different day. But again, listen to this podcast, listen to what I'm about to say, listen to the reasons that I believe people feel like they don't have the time to get going with their fitness and health. And if you still sit there and think to yourself, I don't have the time to be able to do that, then it's maybe it's more than likely a boundary issue, or even a priority issue, which is an entirely different story for an entirely different day. Okay. Now, there are three reasons why I feel like people don't have the time in order to get dedicated to the fitness, diet, etc., etc. Okay. The number one reason is comparison. And what I mean by comparison is because of the people that I work with, which are predominantly women, aged between 30 and 50 years old, who are very responsible people, who are parents, who are very driven within their careers, who have very sort of responsible jobs, or on the flip side of that, are very, very dedicated mums. A lot of their children take up a lot of their time. What people then start to do is compare the amount of time that they had pre-responsibilities, and when I say responsibilities, I mean whether it's their children, their career, whether it's showing up for family. They're comparing what it is. They're comparing what their life is now, as it's currently constructed from a responsibility and a routine perspective, to what life was like before, pre-children, pre-responsible job, pre-caring for your family. And I guess what you can do is you can call that comparison syndrome, because even I think about it even with myself. I think about even just 10, 15 years ago, when I had so much more time on my hands. I had way less commitments, way less responsibilities, and how much of that time I could actually dedicate to exercise and eating well, and thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, like why wasn't I on the cover of, I don't know, Men's Health or something like that? I had so much time to actually dedicate to exercise and nutrition that it's almost laughable in comparison to where my life is now and as it's currently constructed. And I think people do the exact same, in that one of the biggest reasons why they don't get going with their exercise and their fitness and their nutrition and their diet and whatever else is because quite often they're comparing what it is that they are doing now, which is having a lot more responsibilities, which is having a lot more of your time taken up by those responsibilities, that when they start to compare it to a time when they had so much more time, it leaves them feeling quite deflated, and it leaves you feeling quite flat, and it leaves you feeling quite demotivated and not up for getting going. So then what you don't do off the back of that is start to look at the actual pockets of time that you do have within your day that you can dedicate to eating a little bit more nutritionally dense food, so that you can dedicate to exercise, because of that comparison that you have with a time in your life when you had way less responsibilities. So there's the feelings that you have off the back of that. The second reason is expectations, which kind of follows off quite nicely from the comparisons. So off the back of the comparisons where you're comparing your life now with its responsibilities and the way less time that you have compared to what it was like 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago when you had way more time on your hands, the expectation is that you need that amount of time that you had before to get the result that you want, whether that's to feel a little bit fitter, a little bit stronger, drop a little bit of body fat, drop a little bit of weight, feel a little bit more energetic, feel a little bit more productive, to the point where, again, it doesn't actually get you going. It doesn't actually get you fired up for doing the small amount of things that you can actually do within your day or even your week or even within your month. There's that expectation that you need all this time to be able to actually get the result that you want. And when you think like that, you almost compound it with what you see on social media as well, because what you will find is that for a lot of people who find that they don't have the time to exercise or eat a little bit better, are comparing their lives to the people that they follow on social media, which are usually the people that they want to look like and want to live like. So, and these people here that you're following have way more time on their hands to be able to dedicate to their exercise and their nutrition than you ever will. And I don't know if that sounds a little bit deflating or not, but it's the realistic aspect of exercise and nutrition, is that the people that you're following on social media, which are the people that you look up to and the people that you want to look like and the people that you want to live your life like, have nowhere near the amount of responsibilities that you have, so have the time in order to be able to dedicate to their training and their nutrition to look like the way that they look like. Combine that with the fact that they're probably on some level of gear or some level of assistance as well, okay, which they'll never tell you about, and they generally don't tell you about. It compounds that expectation that you have that you need all that time to be able to get the result that you want, and again doesn't have you ask yourself, well, what can I actually do? Because you're too busy comparing your life to what it was like before, comparing your life to the people that you see and follow on social media, and thinking that you should have that, or having that expectation that that's what you need in order to be able to get the result that you want. So the third reason, right, is that you might actually genuinely be busy. You might actually genuinely be busy. And that sort of brings me back to the original point that I made about, if you are genuinely busy and you have no time on your hands, then it's most definitely a boundary issue, or it's most definitely a priority issue. And here's the thing with it being a priority issue is that if getting a little bit fitter, getting a little bit healthier, getting a little bit more productive by exercising and eating well isn't at the top of your priority list, that's okay. That is absolutely fine. Because what I don't want you to feel is this pressure that you have to do something that you don't want to do. Where the issue then lies off the back of that is whether or not you complain about the lack of time that you have in order to dedicate to the getting a little bit fitter, getting a little bit healthier, etc., etc. But if you're not someone who's complaining about it, and if you're not someone who has on the highest of the priority list exercising more, eating better, then that's okay. You genuinely don't have to worry. So again, off the back of that, yeah, you might genuinely be busy. But if you are someone who does want to start to prioritize their exercise and their nutrition a little bit more, it means that managing the spare time that you do have better is something that you're going to need to do. Which brings me to my next point, okay? Because I genuinely think that 99% of the population are not too busy to be able to do something that pushes their fitness and their health forward. Which brings me to my next point, where I'm going to talk about something that I heard on. I've been listening to a couple of podcasts recently, because obviously I've been sort of speaking about my mental health on the podcast and on social media and stuff like that. I had said that in order to improve on that, I was going to start to do more of the things that I had done less of that helped me manage my mental health. And listening to podcasts and listening to mindset stuff is something that I actually really, really enjoy. And so this was something that I heard off the back of one of those podcasts. And essentially it was talking about compound interest. Now, when we talk about compound interest and we hear compound interest, we generally think about finances. Okay, we think about money. Now, essentially what compound interest is interest in money that is gained off a amount of money that you have invested or you have saved. And you can essentially apply compound interest to just about anything in your life. And when we think about finances and you think about saving £1 a day. I think everyone could save £1 a day. Over the course of a year, that's £365. Jesus, I almost forgot. I almost forgot how many days in a year there was. That's £365, which on the surface might not sound like a lot of money, but in a time when you're feeling maybe a little bit more desperate for money, that £365 is a big help, is a big deal. And the same could be applied to your fitness and your health as well. Because when you're saving £1 a day, it doesn't feel like much. It almost feels like kind of pointless. But it's tangible and it's something that you can see. When you put £1 away a day, you can see that pound going into the savings account. And you can see that savings account increase over time. And it makes you feel kind of good. And where that sort of differentiates from health and fitness and exercise and stuff like that is when you're investing those pounds or you're investing those minutes into your exercise and your nutrition, you don't see the benefits of that. You don't see the effects of that instantly. And even kind of in the long run, even in sort of the next few weeks, the next few months, however long it is that you're spending these minutes dedicating to your exercise and your nutrition, you're feeling a little bit better, sure, because everyone in the short term, I think, feels a little bit better by exercising more and eating a little bit better. But outside of that, you're not really seeing long term how that how that's helping you or how that's compounding, because there's not anything that you're seeing physically until there comes a time in your life where maybe health is starting to break down a little bit slightly, or someone needs your help, or someone needs your support, or you're getting a little bit older and something's like a social event's coming up and the kids are running around and you're able to kind of run around with them, and no one ever kind of really stops and thinks to themselves, God, all those minutes that I dedicate to exercise were the reason that I was able to keep up with my grandkids, or was the reason that I was able to do that thing that I needed that energy for. And it's in those moments right there that makes those little minutes that you dedicated to exercise and nutrition that proves its worth. That proves that focusing on the compound interest of your exercise and nutrition is worth it. And like I said, it's very, very similar to finances in that all those minutes that you compound over time are worth it for those moments in life that you wouldn't have got otherwise had you not decided that the time that you do have is more than enough to get you the result that you want. So there's actually a really, really interesting stat. And I think when it comes to time and not having the time to exercise, mindset is everything here. It really is everything here. Like, you can continue to believe that you don't have the time to exercise, or that you don't have the time to eat the nutritionally dense foods that would improve your life and your energy levels tenfold. Again, if it's not on the highest of your priorities, don't worry about it. Again, this will not be for you. But if it is, I guarantee that you have more time than you need, because there is a really, really interesting stat that all you need, right, and this is to literally add years to your life, is 30 minutes worth of exercise per week. 30 minutes per week. Now, again, I believe that no one is that busy that they do not have 30 minutes within a week to dedicate to their exercise, to dedicate to their nutrition, or whatever it is. Nutrition's a little bit different if we're talking about exercise specifically, but I do not believe that no one has 30 minutes in a week in order to dedicate to exercise. And if you're talking about, off the back of that, literally adding years to your life, I wrote it down. Imagine if by exercising 30 minutes per week, you add an extra 4 years to your life, right? And let's tie that back in with finances. That extra 4 years of your life where you're saving that £1 a day, that's an extra £1,460 over that 4 years. Now think about what that £1,460 could do for you over that 4 years. That's an extra holiday with the family. That's an extra few nights away over the course of that time with your family, your friends. That's a few more nights out. That's a few more experiences with loved ones inside that 4 years, which, from a value perspective, is worth way more than the time that you would spend per week dedicated to your exercise. 30 minutes. So when it comes to not having the time to exercise, 100%, mindset is everything. Again, if exercise is not on your priority list, of improving your health even just the slightest bit is not on the highest of your priority list, then fine. Then this will not be for you. But if you have listened to this podcast and you're now sitting there thinking, well, you know what? I do have a little bit more time. I don't have as much time as I want, because I don't think anyone has as much time as they want to be able to dedicate to their exercise and their nutrition, etc., etc. I think the people that you're comparing yourself to on Instagram, who feel like they're in the gym all the time, who feel like they're eating the best food all of the time, they're the top 10%, maybe even 5%. And that is not you. And that's not me either. Because even in that realm, for the people who do that, the sacrifices that they're having to make to their social occasions, their time with their loved ones, their time with their friends, in my opinion, as someone who has done that, isn't worth it. Think about the people that you're comparing yourself to on social media, and think about the sacrifices that you'd have to make with time with your loved ones and friends in order to have the body that they have. And I can guarantee you, if it was written down on paper right in front of you, a lot of you wouldn't choose that life. A lot of you wouldn't choose that body, because I think a lot of you appreciate a lot more the time that you get to spend with friends, the experiences that you have with your family, the nights out, the holidays, the drink, the alcohol, the stuff that I believe are the most valuable things in life and what make life worth living. Yeah, I don't think many of you would choose the other side, had it be written down on paper and you given the choice to make. So when it comes to having the time for exercise, mindset is everything. You will not have as much time as you want, but you have all the time that you need. If any of you have absolutely any questions off the back of this, please go down into the bio. You'll get my Instagram there. Drop me a message. Or if you are very much interested in improving your mindset around exercise and nutrition, then drop me a message. There's a very, very good chance you might be a good fit for my team, and I'd love to work with you. I'll speak to you all very soon.